Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Another year, another potential set of visa problems for the OpTic guys to wrestle with. Rumours started to emerge yesterday that Pred is going to be stuck in Australia or simply having difficulties getting back to the States in time for the new launch of the game. Dashy confirms this is the case, isn't really sure how long it's going to be. Could be a week, could be 2 weeks, but it seems very plausible Pred isn't in the US when the new game launches. That might mean that OpTic needs someone to step in instead. Dashy seems to imply that Scump could be that guy for the meantime. Very much on Twitter, your thoughts on the implications in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate it. Now, lots happened yesterday, mainly around roster stuff, and this whole saga was hilarious. And the amount of times this has happened, the amount of times that I keep telling these esports parents, like, be careful what you tweet, it doesn't seem to matter. So, GodRx says it's official, and it seems as if all of the deals on the Carolina Royal Ravens side have now officially gone through. GodRx signs his contract. Clay goes on to say as well, personal and team update very, very soon. Sorry for being a ghost, had a ton of stuff to figure out because I imagine logistically, if Clayster's had to relocate from Texas to North Carolina, shall we say, Charlotte, which is probably where those guys are going to be based for the upcoming season, that might be what Clay has had to do. Game launches in less than a week, trust me, we are about to be grinding. So good that Clay's confirmed he's back. You know, there was some concern about it, whether Clay would actually call it a day immediately, whether he would be able to return for another season. He definitely intended to. He made it quite clear at the end of last season he did want to come back, but this is the thing, when you're going to play for one of the rosters that isn't necessarily the top teams, they sign their players late, they figure things out late, it takes a long time. So glad that Clay's got everything sorted and will play for at least one more year. I know that he said that if things don't go so well this season and he needs to go and join another team and do the whole roster mania off-season circus, he doesn't really fancy it anymore. But Clay has officially confirmed, you know, the show goes on after all the discussions and retirements of many big players over the last several seasons. Clay is not joining their ranks just yet and will be competing for at least one more year. Now, Gwinn also, coincidentally, does the same contracts that are given at the same time. So we're pretty sure we know what the roster is, but, you know, usually you'd expect it to be up to the Royal Ravens to actually confirm it themselves. Someone, though, decided that actually they would just reveal everything themselves. Now, this was Gwynn's mother. So, Mama Gwinn, and it's just hilarious how many times this can possibly happen, and but it's happened again. So Mama Gwinn, Mary Gwinn, says here on the timeline, you gotta wonder, like, is she trying to take Jacob Hell's job? Like, you know, was she the cod burner all along back in the day? Because she clearly knows everything. My baby's going to the league, and sure, she could have left it at that, but she didn't. Royal Ravens all the way, let's go. And I thought her other tweets were hilarious as well. So she replies to Clay and says, let's go, buddy. Super excited for this team. And especially wholesome, I thought, was this one in reply to GodRx, where she says, congrats, buddy, because of course, GodRx and Gwinn were on the same Challengers team that won the Challengers World Championship this most recent season. Dream come true for me to be able to see you and my son get to play in the league together. Let's go, baby. I want that feeling we got from champs again. So, you know, nice wholesome stuff, but it's just hilarious, right? The team wasn't confirmed. I don't know if she didn't know or if she just didn't think it didn't matter. I don't know. But anyway, she just decided to say where her son was going and where everyone else was going, and then Gwinn responds and says, why do parents even make Twitters? Because it's just hilarious. I mean, the amount of times this stuff happens, you simply can't make it up. And Attach then says, your mum's a COD legend who has the best roster announcement ever. It's kind of a, to be fair, for Ravens, it's obviously kind of frustrating. I'm sure they wanted to do a proper announcement, but it's a pretty funny way for it to get announced, and it has drummed up a little bit more discussion than maybe it would have done otherwise. Don't encourage her at all. She's grounded. So in the same way that I think Standy at one point told his mother to just please just put the Twitter away for the time being, apparently Gwinn has said the same thing, but I'm sure it will get confirmed shortly. And just if there was any doubt at all that this is what she was talking about, Clay actually likes these tweets from Gwinn, from Attach, and also from this one, which is just all the tweets. And I think he also liked this one from the Stocksman, where he just tweeted everything out and said, Clay, GodRx, Real, and Gwinn is a nasty sleeper squad. And, well, Clay likes that tweet. So that's your team, right? GodRx, Real is there, of course, as well. I'm pretty sure he did the sign and gift the other day. Maybe he didn't. I don't know, but that's how it's going to be. And Clay rounding out the team. Of all the rosters they could have formed, I actually quite like the direction they've gone with this one. I see a lot of upsides. Is there going to be enough upside to see the sort of progress they would like to see? I guess we'll see. But at the same time, Clay last year on Vegas had, I mean, to be honest, they were like the second most supported team after OpTic, really. People really wanted to see Clay succeed with that Vegas squad. Okay, didn't happen in the end. They couldn't quite make the World Championship. They gave it a good go, and that's what he'll be trying to achieve this year. I'm sure that Clay doesn't want to retire on a season where he doesn't play at Champs. champs. You know, if this is going to be Clay's last year, he at least wants to rack up another World Championship appearance. I think this team has got what it takes to do that. There's some other rosters I'm looking at I'm not so convinced by, and let's not forget, with 100 points for the winners of the majors, it's very possible that going into the final major of the year, which unfortunately is Major 4, but it is what it is, there'll be loads of teams that can still qualify for champs. Presumably, this team will be among them at the time. Whether they're in a good position or a weak position as they were this most recent season, that remains to be seen. Now, let's talk about this whole OpTic thing. So this set came through last night of comment in a Twitch chat here by Dashy talking about that Scump's going to be their 4th again. And people thought he was trolling, and okay, he's trolling to some degree. They're not going to make this stunning roster change in Scump Returns, but I think people thought that this might be referring to some of the kickoff tournaments, which might be true as well, because they might well need a replacement figure in that category. So people were talking about this, like, all right, what's Dashy getting at? He was just trolling around, what's going on? And then I saw this comment here on the Reddit which said, started because Pred will be in Australia for the kickoff tournaments. His visa is getting finalised in a few days after the game drops. So this is a very, so I didn't know if this is true or not at the time, so I did some, asked around a little bit, and got the response that, yeah, this is true to some degree, and then I thought, all right, let me just drop in Dashy's chat and ask him what's going on, because OpTic for the last several years have had plenty of issues with visas. Dashy himself was one, but also I'm thinking, let's say OpTic Dynasty, when they initially formed, when Karma came in, okay, Nadeshot was there at the start of the season, Nadeshot retires after the Advanced Warfare World Championship in 2015, okay, he takes a hiatus, but effectively turned into retirement. Karma was the man from OpTic Nation they wanted to bring in. Karma, though, Canadian, didn't have the appropriate visa to go to Europe, and therefore, when they did that quick European tour of ESWC in Paris, and then I think maybe a Gfinity event or whatever it was in London that year, they couldn't play with Karma, so Enable had to sub in for the team. They won both events pretty handily, and then when they got back to the States, Karma then was in the team and Enable was gone. So that's one example. Black Ops 4 as well, you guys probably remember when Dashy couldn't get the visa sorted from Canada to the States in time, so Zuma subbed in for OpTic Gaming as it was at the time for the Pro League, and to be honest, that kind of threw them off their rhythm a little bit. I know that it probably didn't make the biggest deal in the world, but there was some talk at the time and still today that if Dashy hadn't had those visa issues and Zuma hadn't subbed into OpTic for a week or two, then their prep would have been better because they'd won the first event of the season back in December, and then come the Pro League in January, February, all of a sudden Dashy wasn't there anymore, the practice wasn't as good, they started to fall behind a little bit where they were at the start of the season. And then even this most recent year, there were issues with like Illy and stuff like this, so I don't really know what it is, and it's not just OpTic that suffer from this. Visa problems occur, but for whatever reason, someone has made a mistake somewhere, because realistically, Pred should have been able to get this sorted by the time the game launches. I mean, they've had quite a long time, quite a long lead time, but apparently this is not how it is. So I asked Dashy about it on stream, and he basically said, yeah, that as far as he's concerned, this is true, and Pred probably won't be there at launch. He doesn't really know whether it's a week, whether it's 2 weeks or whatever. But yeah, as he goes on to say, OpTic and visa issues are, well, name a better duo.
I think he's going to be back before... I don't really know how long it's going to take, to be honest. You said a week or two? I'm not sure, though. Guaranteed to get hit with it, though. Every OpTic team's got a visa. I don't know the details about it, though, I'm not gonna lie. We're still going for that steak dinner, right? Like, I'm not gonna lie, you gotta cover it, because I'll get the next one.
So this is not exactly ideal for Pred or for OpTic Texas. I mean, when the game launches, you want to play the kickoffs, you want to get everything going. And sure, Pred can play the game from wherever he is at the time. But if he's not there with the team at the time, then, okay, maybe he can be in the UK and still play the kickoff tournament on 150 ping or whatever. But that's probably not going to be the greatest idea, and they might have to get someone else instead. So, of course, we've heard about, what was it, like Scump and Zinni and Pred and Shotzzy, whatever it's going to be for that kind of kickoff team. But if Pred isn't there on that roster, who are they going to get instead? And also, probably 4 days, I would say, into the the start of the season, that's when you're going to find teams starting to practice. The scrims will start up just a few days in, and teams will immediately be trying to get a head start. Now, some teams are already going to have a marginal head start because some of these players know these maps very well already. Some will have to learn them. Dashy is among those that played an Ethan Kenny back in the Modern Warfare 2 days. I'm sure lots of the pros did, but lots of the pros others didn't. Clay, I'm sure, will feel like he might have a bit of a leg up at the start of the cycle because knows more about these maps than some of the newest gen guys do. But if OpTic were to lose a week of practice because Pred isn't there, that might not be the biggest deal, but, you know, the season starts in early December. Every day of practice is going to be quite important right at the start of the season when there is so much to learn. So it's not ideal, and we have seen in previous years that visa issues have thrown things off potentially in the OpTic camp, and apparently that's happening again. Now, we don't know, because if it's a week from today, then sure, Pred's there basically in time and it's probably going to be fine. If it's 2 weeks, then, you know, and usually these things take longer than you might expect, then there could be some issues. So I guess we'll see on that one, but definitely not optimal for the OpTic guys. And if it does drag on longer, this is what I wonder about exactly what Dashy is getting at here, because Chris is in and was talking, okay, MW3 kickoffs, of course, but, you know, what about the actual roster itself? Because if Pred isn't there and they need an SMG to practice with, let's say it takes 2 weeks for Pred to get this visa sorted and he's stuck in Australia or wherever he's going to be for the time being. In the meantime, the OpTic guys will want to play, okay, maybe they just want to play some chows or even just hardpoint chows or 8s or whatever the case might be, but they'll want to practice because, you know, their competition will be getting a bit of a leg up and a head start, playing hardpoints, playing control. Apparently it's going to be the third game again this season, so maybe it's time to think, alright, maybe Scump just steps in for scrims for a few days, just as Pred's getting his visa over, step in for scrims, Scump, Shotzzy, Kenny, Dashy, they can play some scrims for a few days, and then Scump can, you know, sub back out when necessary. That might be a reasonable short-term solution here to ensure that a team can still get some decent practice in that they need. And let's be honest, Scump and Pred in terms of play styles, very similar. If Scump was to return to this team or to any team in the league, I'd prefer to see him on the flex. I think that's where he'd be best suited today. But Scump's historical play style on the SMG is actually very similar to what you see today from HyDra and even from Pred. So it wouldn't be a bad idea. And this is why it's quite useful to have someone like Scump around your team. Because if a circumstance like this occurs, as it seems to have done, and you need someone to step in on the kind of a last-minute basis to replace a guy like Pred, Scump is kind of the perfect candidate to do it. Now, you won't expect this would last too long. Scump doesn't, you know, intend to compete too much this year, and of course he also wants to maybe play in challenge or something. It could throw a bit of a spanner in the works, because if Pred's there, then everything is fine, and Scump can play with Zinni and Najot and both in challenges. But if Scump's required to like sub in for OpTic scrims, then, you know, what happens to their challenger team? I don't know. It's just a problem that I'm sure they wish they didn't have to deal with, but the reality is that OpTic and visa situations seem to occur every single year. So not going to be an optimal start, but if they can get it sorted quickly, that will be beneficial. So very much intrigued your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.
Dude, I'm sick of dealing with morons all day, man.
Yeah, man, because you're the best player in the game. You're so smart.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, you're literally the greatest,
dude. Smoked, destroyed, awful.
I don't care, man. I don't care.
You want to say you're gonna make sarcastic remarks? I'll just roast the
man,
shit.
you're gonna roast me about chance when my team sucked? Play me with my team now. Whoop your ass, tubby. Motherfucker.
Plays
I think me and Cap are the only one with our mics muted.
Plays some straight characters.
Yeah, our team bonding experiment isn't going as planned right now.
Next games I went the f off. Motherfucker. Shut up.
Oh shit. I can't spawn in. What is it?
They ended it.
Metal suck my balls.
Yeah, pretty much. It's all good. Made 30K. Great
I
time.
don't give a f. I go to school and have a life.
Nope, congrats.
Nothing, bitch.
Here's my claps for you, Zuma.
Yeah, take your 30K.
Listen, guys. Listen. We have like.
Food and
I'll pocket it. I'll pocket that. 100K. I'll pocket all that money, dude.
Yeah, pocket it with e-girls and food.
Yeah, e-girls. Yeah, fucking.
Yeah. Get a real life girl, man. Go outside, socialize.
What, bruh? You were what? Are you
Go
serious?
do something.